police post to protect parliamentarians.
Scotland to partner Ghana in harnessing country's oil and gas resources.
And Islamist militants kill 4 security personnel in Niger. Hello, good evening. It's time for the news live on GBC24. My name is Soyoko Kwakuchre.
And I am Oferiwa Dako. Robert Frimpong Manso is also here with us in the studio to do the sign language. In our first story, a new police post has been inaugurated at the State House in Accra to protect members of Parliament and properties within and around the area.
The Speaker of Parliament and Acting President of Ghana, Edward Do Ajao, said the development is part of measures being put in place to ensure that the Ghanaian is safe. This comes in the wake of recent security threats within West Africa.
Recent terrorist attacks in Burkina Faso and Côte d'Ivoire, as well as political conflicts in many parts of Africa, have prompted a more decisive approach to security issues in Ghana. Threats and attacks on members of parliament, the most recent one being the murder of the MP for Ebuakwa North, gave cause for worry. Many are in favor the idea of having a permanent security unit at the Parliament House to protect the members of Parliament and all the important facilities within the vicinity. A structure at the western gate of the State House was refurbished to what is now the District Police Station. The Inspector General of Police, John Kudalo, reminded Ghanaians that security is a shared responsibility.
Policies and laws are taken here to governance and for socio-economic development. So it's very, very important that we keep them very safe, get the right frame of mind, the right frame of atmosphere.
The Deputy Majority and Minority Leaders of Parliament, Messrs. Alfred Agbishi and Oseche Mensah Bonsu, commended the leadership of the House for their foresight, describing the development as timely. The Interior Minister, Mr. Prosper Bani, urged Ghanaians to be security conscious.
The security situation in our sub-region requires a lot of vigilance and proactive steps to ensure that our people, especially Ghanaians, have the confidence in government to provide the needed security to enable them go about their activities.
The Speaker of Parliament and Acting President, Mr. Edward Do Ajao, said the time has come for government to do more to protect its citizens and assets in the face of the global threats.
Parliament as an institution receives large numbers of visitors locally and internationally, including high-level state officials, and also serves as a repository of highly classified information and materials of vital national interest.
The facility is, however, not disability-friendly.
President John Mahama says he's poised at diversifying the base of the Ghanaian economy into an export-led one. Addressing a select committee of the Scottish Parliament in Edinburgh, Mr. Mahama stated that Ghana is ready to collaborate with the rest of the world, especially the United Kingdom, to change the course of the economy. On Thursday, Mr. Mahama observed the debate in the Scottish Parliament before proceeding to address the select committee. According to President Mahama, accelerated economic growth as well as expansion in manufacturing and agricultural sectors will create jobs and stop the exodus from Africa to other continents in search of greener pastures. In response to the President, the Cabinet Secretary for Culture, Europe and External Affairs, Fiona Hislop, indicated that Scotland is prepared to partner Ghana in harnessing its oil and gas for their mutual benefit. She praised the Ghana government for passing a local content bill that allocated a percentage of the jobs in the sector to indigents. Addressing Ghanaians living and schooling in Scotland, the president gave the assurance that government is wide awake over flashes of terrorism in West Africa to secure the nation against such tendencies.
Meanwhile, the University of Aberdeen has conferred on President John Mahama an honorary doctorate of law degree. The award is in recognition of the president's belief and practice of good governance, national and international leadership drive at improving Ghana's infrastructure and public service. Early this year, the UN Secretary-General appointed President Mahama to co-chair the UN High-Level Panel on the Sustainable Development Goals. The honorary doctorate award by Aberdeen University of Scotland is a feather shot in the cap of the Ghanaian leader.
Well, back here in the country, traders and residents at the Kwame Nkrumah Circle and Asylum Down in Accra are appealing to government to construct bigger drains to stop the perennial flooding of the area during the rainy season. The residents have expressed fears that disaster could break out if the city authorities do not reconstruct the drainage system.
The Kwame Nkrumah Circle and its environs, especially Odona, Adabraka and Asylum Down, annually record cases of floods during the rainy season. Last year, over 150 lives were lost to floods and a fire outbreak at a filling station in the area. Though the community is in a low-lying area, residents say the construction of the new Kwame Nkrumah interchange by the Brazilian company Queiroz Galvão has worsened their plight. They say the drains constructed are too narrow for the amount of water that flows through them. They added that the indiscriminate disposal of refuse into the gutters have also contributed to the situation. A man was spotted dumping refuse in the open when GBC24 visited the area to see the extent of damage after Thursday's rains. At the Kwame Nkrumah Circle, some residents were seen scooping water from their rooms. The residents appealed to governments and city authorities to come to their aid as they have lost property running into thousands of cedis.
Previously, it wasn't like this, but the construction of the Donna Market and the Ghana Commercial Bank has destroyed the drainage systems here. When the water reaches Alajo, it cannot flow freely.
People have taken loans for their business, so when there is flooding, it brings frustrations. People should change their attitude to avert the situation.
When it rains, we cannot sleep. All our properties are destroyed.
The residents say city authorities should be proactive in dealing with the situation to forestall any future disasters.
An international conference on forest has ended with a call for action to plant more trees as a major measure to battle climate change. Over 200 policymakers, entrepreneurs and farmers converged on Accra to discuss ways of developing plantations to help achieve the plan of action of the 21st session of the Conference of the Parties to the UN Framework for Combating Climate Change, Paris COP21, which calls for the planting of 100 million trees by 2030. Forest for the Future, New Forest for Africa was the theme of the conference.
Changes in weather patterns or climate change continue to be a major problem battling the international community. Last year in Paris, France, the international community agreed to plant about 100 million trees in line with Sustainable Development Goal 15 to fight climate change. The Accra conference had a number of objectives, including boosting forestry plantation to fight climate change. Other discussions focused on effective ways to promote forestry plantation and making funds available for such a venture which can be commercial. The Minister for Environment, Science, technology and innovation, Mahama Yariga touched on the vital role children can play in planting trees to fight climate change.
We have 6 million children in school, in basic school, and I said, every child has to plant a tree every year, and we have to convince the Ghana Education Service to make it part of the curriculum, and the child should be graded if the tree survives at the end of the year.
He called for action in the fight against the climate change canker.
Let us go beyond dialoguing. Let's begin to take action at the local level, at the national level, at the international level. I think there's so much political will now. Our leaders met and we committed ourselves. I believe those commitments, we must extract the resources and the measures that are needed at the national level to ensure that we live up to those commitments.
The conference, which was organized by Form International and the Forestry Commission, brought forestry plantation investors from South Africa, the Netherlands and Tanzania, among others. During the press conference, the leadership of Form International were optimistic that enough can be done to promote forestry plantation, which can rake in income and at the same time help fight climate change.
The Ghana News Agency has inaugurated a China-Africa desk to promote the gathering and dissemination of news to deepen China-Africa relations. A guiding principle for the specialized desk is education towards cultural and international understanding China's role in Africa's march forward.
Trade between Ghana and China will be one of the key areas of focus of the desk. Beyond news coverage, the Ghana News Agency will extend the frontiers of its cooperation to include the exchange of journalists between the agency and agencies in China. As part of the collaboration, journalists from China could come on attachment and work in the GNA newsroom for a specified period in a bid to enhance the friendship between Chinese media professionals and their Ghanaian counterparts. The CEO of GNA, Dr. Bernard Otabil, says the China-Africa desk is a network to promote peace among countries.
Development, as we are classified in the context of a third world country, can actually be achieved without us going through some of the hurdles that most of those before us actually went through. We call it leapfrogging the problems or the hurdles that other people achieved. If it took them 40 years, we don't need to take 40 years to achieve that. And I always keep saying that you cannot use analog system of management in a digital world. And therefore, we cannot say that it's going to take us 40 years to achieve what they did or what they achieved over 100 years. We believe that the digital age has given us a lot of opportunities. It has given us so much, the space for us to be able to be innovative and explore as well as exploit the other opportunities that exist out there.
The Chinese ambassador to Ghana, Sung Buahong, said the desk is a platform for Ghana to have its share of the Chinese government promise to train more than 1,200 journalists in Africa each year.
The Chinese government has promised that each year we will train more than 1,200 journalists from Africa. So I think Ghana will get its share. And for the past few years, even without this new program, we have been received a number of journalist delegations coming from Ghana to China.
For the past 55 years, Ghana and China have enjoyed fruitful bilateral cooperation following the foundations laid by Ghana's first president, Osagyefo Dr. Kwame Nkrumah, and his Chinese counterpart, Zhou Enlai.
You're watching News Are Live on GBC24. We're taking a short break. Please don't go away.
It's the last working day of the week and we bring you the business segment of the news. I am Dorothy Ajimine. Baltic Limited has launched the second phase of its PET recycling program, Evolve, in Accra, Voltec is undertaking the project in partnership with Environment 360, Accra Plastic Waste Management Program, and the Ministry of Local Government and Rural Development. The PECT project is aimed at raising funds to support Environment 360's agenda of impacting children in coastal and rural communities to require better environmental sanitation habits.
Originally launched in October 2015, Evolve was set up to measure the feasibility of a large-scale community PET recycling project to address the post-consumer PET waste challenges faced in the capital. Since then, the PET project has signed on more than 200 households, enabling Voltec and its partners to recycle over 400 kilograms of PET waste between October 2015 and January 2016. With this initial success, the project has been expanded with the distribution of 20 additional PET waste collection containers to various public and private locations. On the back of the first edition of Evolve, Voltec has once again launched the second phase of the PET recycling project to cover more areas in Accra. The general manager of Voltec, Mr. Philip Redman, was confident about the recycling project and its impact on post-consumer PET waste management in Accra.
So we hope by doing this next step we can start looking into the next step, being that development of the capability to do further processing in this country. Once we have that further processing, we'll then be able to start getting value for the actual waste, and local pickers will be able to collect the product and be paid for it.
The Executive Director of Environment 360, Madam Kodi Aziz, added that the project has the capacity to impact the landscape of Accra and lives of children living in very bad environmental conditions.
This year, with the help of Voltec and our other partners, our goal is to reach 10,000 children. Currently, we have 450 children that we are working with directly through our environmental programs, and we also have about 3,500 children participating in our recycling programs.
The Deputy Executive Director of Operations at the EPA, Mr. John Puaman, said his outfit believes Evolve will go a long way to positively impact the lives of Ghanaians. He therefore urged other industry players to come on board to make the recycling project a success. PET bottles can be dropped off at designated points at the Marina Mall, Oxford Street Mall, UT Bank Osu, Aviation Social Center, Maxmat 37, Kaya Cantonment, and the Lizzie Sports Complex, East Legon.
Effective 1st July this year, exporters in the country will be required to provide a mandatory verified gross weight of their containers. The policy is an amendment of the Safety of Life at Sea Convention adopted by the International Maritime Organization.
The International Maritime Organization, IMO, the body that regulates maritime trade worldwide, last year approved changes to the Safety of Life at Sea Convention. The Safety of Life at Sea Convention required shippers to give the weight of their containers, but it was not mandatory and not verified. As a result, shippers gave wrong containers, and this has been the cause of most accidents at sea. After several years of broad consultation globally, players in the maritime trade have amended the convention to require shippers and exporters to verify their container weight before loaded containers may be placed aboard the ship. Ghana being a signatory to the convention, government is expected to ensure that shippers in the country adhere to this new policy. The Ghana Shippers Authority has begun educating shippers in the country on the new international law and what is required of them. According to Setema branch manager of the Ghana Shippers Authority, Mr. Emmanuel Ako, the new law is not intended to hamper maritime trade. Shippers are only required to give verified gross weight of their containers meant for export to ensure safety at sea.
We are putting the emphasis on weighing containers at the export, point from, farms, etc., rather than coming to the port to weigh, because we think that the facilities at the port should be just for mopping up those who miss the opportunity to weigh from their farms.
According to some of the shippers, they are ready to comply as they have been involved in weighing their containers before export.
On our side, is going to add some small cost because obviously we have to weigh the containers before taking them to the port, and we'll have to pay, and we also have to act on time.
We are already practicing, the good aspect of it because we declare the right quantity, to the authorities. So for us, it's nothing new to us. We will comply.
The Shippers Authority is working closely with the Ghana Standards Board to ensure all exporters have a standardized weighing scale that will conform to international standards.
Is the business segment of the news. Let's see how the local currency is faring on the interbank market. Let's see that of crude oil, gold, and cocoa. This segment was brought to you by Airtel SIC and Ernest Chemist. Insurance news is next. This segment is brought to you by SIC Life. China's insurance regulator is tightening its control over short and mid-term life insurance products in a bid to curb potential risk from aggressive insurers investing heavily in stocks and long-term assets using short-term funds.
The China Insurance Regulatory Commission is reducing the industry total premiums from such products to between 500 billion yuan or 53.35 billion pounds or 550 billion yuan a year from 650 billion yuan in 2015. The director of its Life Insurance Supervision Department, Yuan Zunchen, said the lower level would account for less than 20% of total premiums for China's life insurance industry. At present, 57 life insurance companies are selling such products. Mr. Yuan said insurance company profits should come from active risk control, not aggressive investment. The new rules, effective from Monday, 21st of March 2016, follow a buying spree by Chinese insurers in equities and real estate after CIRC loosened restrictions on insurance investment in 2014. In recent months, Chinese insurers have been active in both overseas and domestic markets. Yuan said that rapid growth of short and mid-term insurance products has caused concern about risk created by potential asset liability mismatch. Yuan said that rapid growth of short and mid-term insurance products has caused concern about risk created by a potential asset liability mismatch and liquidity conditions. According to the new regulation, short and medium-term life insurance refers to products where more than 60% of total policies issued are expected to have less than 5 years effective duration. Some insurance companies have been too aggressive selling these policies, Yuan said, with some firms seeing more than 90%. Under the new rules, China's life insurance companies need to immediately stop selling products in which more than 60% of of policies are expected to have less than a year duration and gradually cut back other short and mid-term products. According to the new rules, each firm will be assigned a ceiling depending on its capital. Those whose premium from such products exceed the ceiling must increase capital within 3 months to meet the requirement.
It is hard to conceive of losses from floods in a desert, but that is what the United Arab Emirates designated National General Insurance Corporation is facing now, a claim for $20 million due to floods in Dubai.
2 days after a devastating storm swept across Dubai, floodwaters still remain in some of Dubai's communities. Flooding damaged many homes in the Green community in Dubai Investment Park after the lake at the center of the development burst its banks. According to the chairman and managing director of General Insurance Corporation, Ri Alisvidian, the company expects to see claims worth $20 million in Dubai, mainly from damage to property. He said for the last 3 years, they have been getting huge claims due to natural catastrophe, but this is the biggest claim related to floods since 2007 when Cyclone Gonu hit the Middle East. The reinsurer, which earns half of its premium by underwriting international treaties, will review its policy to bring down losses. GIC Rees is expected to touch 16,000 rupees in premium income by the end of the current financial year. India insurance companies have seen claims due to floods in Jammu and Kashmir, Cyclone Hadhad, followed by Chenia floods.
We do appreciate your company. We have more news coming up after this break. Please stay.
Good evening and welcome to the health segment of the news brought to you by FPAC. My name is Evanso Champon. The government has been urged to make public health care services a core benefit package of the NHIS. The Technical Review Committee of the scheme and the Review Advisory Committee say public health care services must be guaranteed to all Ghanaians and the revenue sources of the NHIS should be focused in that direction. The development came at a meeting of the committee in Accra to decide on how to restructure the scheme.
National Health Insurance Scheme was introduced to replace the cash and carry system as part of Ghana's transformational changes in the health sector. It has become an integral part of Ghana's strategy to move towards universal health coverage. Though the NHIS has improved the health needs of Ghanaians, it has faced a lot of challenges that impede the attainment of universal health care. In recent times, increasing cost of health care has placed the NHIS under severe financial pressure. This has contributed to the scheme's inability to pay claims on time to healthcare providers for services rendered to NHIS subscribers. Some critics even called for the abolishment of the scheme. These challenges drew the attention of President Mahama to approve a process of reviewing the NHIS with a view of proposing options for reform. Following this, a 7-member committee was set up to restructure the scheme. The reform process presents an opportunity for all citizens and concerned parties to make suggestions and contributions on how to resolve the challenges confronting the scheme. An advisory committee has also been formed to add value to the work of the committee. The Review Advisory Committee met the Technical Committee to look at the proposals and make necessary recommendations that will ensure the sustainability of the NHIS to provide quality services.
The resources that we are collecting from public sources right now should be concentrated on ensuring that every Ghanaian has access to primary health care. We think that the lack of access to primary health care is a major contributor to our underperformance in health indicators such as maternal and child health.
The Deputy Minister for Health, Mr. Victor Bampo, was optimistic that the review would provide the necessary structure to enable the NHIS deliver on its vision of becoming a sustainable scheme in Africa and beyond.
Some of the questions the review seeks to answer in the process are the following. What are the strengths of the scheme? What are the challenges and weaknesses confronting the scheme? What are the opportunities available to the scheme?
What threats exist that require immediate consideration? What initiatives are currently being pursued to address the challenges of the scheme, and what is their impact?
Recommendations made by the review committee include the need for rapid attention on delay payments to providers and the implementation of the unique provider ID to allow for better monitoring and claims analysis. The committee is expected to complete its work and submit its recommendations to the President by 30th of June this year.
Now, the World Health Organization is deploying specialists to Southeast Guinea, and the government is holding an emergency meeting after 2 new Ebola cases were confirmed. The cases were announced just hours after Sierra Leone officially heralded the end of its recent Ebola flare-up, again dashing hopes that the deadly disease was gone from West Africa. The new cases occurred in a remote region of Southeast Guinea, 1,000 kilometers from the capital. The deadliest Ebola outbreak in history has killed more than 11,000 people, mostly in Sierra Leone, Liberia, and Guinea. Authorities of the Princess Marie-Louise Children's Hospital in Accra are appealing to individuals and corporate bodies for funds to expand 3 units of the hospital. The 3-story building, estimated at 600,000 cedis, will accommodate the X-ray and pharmacy units as well as the laboratory, and when complete. The appeal was made at the launch of the hospital's 90th anniversary. A report by Sarah Ofori.
Louise Children's Hospital, located in the Central Business District of Accra, was commissioned in June 1926. Christened after the granddaughter of Queen Victoria of Great Britain, Princess Marie-Louise, the hospital has contributed immensely to improving child health and nutrition. Besides running the outpatient department and emergency care unit, Princess Marie-Louise Children's Hospital also runs sickle cell clinic, neurological clinic, asthma clinic, dental clinic, ear, nose and throat, as well as eye clinics. It also has reproductive and child health units, as well as nutrition and family planning units. At 90 years, the medical superintendent of the Children's Hospital, Dr. Eric Sifa, discloses that last year, close to 70,000 patients from 0 to 18 years were treated at the facility for primary, secondary and tertiary care.
Our staff strength, particularly with nurses, have steadily been increasing over the years. However, the number of medical officers have been reducing. As far back as 2012, we had 10 doctors and 6 physician assistants. Now we are having only 6 doctors and 4 physician assistants. And with the increasing scope of activities, these numbers are not enough in terms of the doctors.
The story of the Children's Hospital cannot be told without mentioning Father Andrew Campbell, whose contribution to the provision of healthcare delivery in Ghana dates back to 1976. Father Campbell, with support of corporate institutions, built a surgical block at this hospital in 2012. The facility has benefited over 1,000 patients.
If you look at our X-ray unit, it's small. You look at our laboratory, it's small. Our pharmacy. So we want to build a new building here on my left-hand side, up over where the laboratory and the X-ray unit. We want to build a 3-story building there and sort of marry it to the present facilities here. I don't have a penny. I have no money. I have no money. When I started this building, I had no money. Not a penny. And at the moment, I have no money. I just have faith in God. And I'm on this occasion of the launching of the 90th anniversary. I need money. I need about 600,000 cedis only.
First Lady Lordina Mahama donated 5,000 cedis towards the expansion project. She also urged management to make the maintenance of the facility a priority for posterity. She was represented by the Minister for Health, Mr. Alex Segbefia.
I'm aware that we were trying to allocate 2 doctors to this hospital.
But I'm also aware that 2 of the doctors that are already here may be leaving in a short while. I therefore pledge to try and get you 4 to actually bring your numbers up to scratch. We must, however, recognize that improving the nation's health system is a shared responsibility. Civil society and corporate organizations need to partner governments, both central and local government authorities, to provide the needed infrastructure and general conditions for the delivery of quality health care.
The 90th anniversary was on the theme Pioneering Child Healthcare in Ghana. Serofori, GBC24, Princess Marie Louise Children's Hospital.
And that was the health segment brought to you by FPAC. News Hour continues right after the break. Don't go away.
Welcome back, bringing you some news making headlines on the foreign front. Islamist militants from Al-Qaeda and Boko Haram have killed 4 security personnel in 2 separate attacks in Niger. 3 policemen were shot dead by suspected Al-Qaeda members in a village near the border with Burkina Faso. 1 soldier was killed and 2 others wounded when a military convoy was attacked close to Nigeria's border. Thursday's attacks came 3 days before Sunday's controversial presidential runoff election in Niger. The opposition has said they will not recognize the results of the vote, and their candidate, Hama Amadou, is currently receiving medical treatment in Paris after spending months in jail.
A suspect in the Paris attacks, Salah Abdeslam, has been wounded and arrested in a raid in Brussels. Abdeslam, who has been on the run since the attacks in November, was wounded in the leg as police moved in on a flat in the Molenbeek area. Abdeslam is a key suspect in the jihadist attacks in Paris, which left 130 people dead.
European Union leaders and Turkey have finalized a deal to try to halt the mass movement of migrants into Europe. Under the scheme, from midnight Sunday, migrants arriving in Greece will be sent back to Turkey if the asylum claim is rejected. In return, EU countries will resettle thousands of Syrian migrants living in Turkey. For Turkey, the deal will also bring financial aid and faster EU membership talks, but some of the initial concessions have been watered down, and some EU members have expressed disquiet over Turkey's human rights record. Sports is up next.
Good evening, time for some updates from the world of sports. I'm Theophilus Samba. We are being backed by Ejapias, Tornado Bitters, and Lunat. The youth and sports minister Nilanti van der Poel has proposed changing the natural grass on the new Cape Coast Stadium to an artificial one. This, the minister says, will help in proper maintenance of the pitch. Nilanti expressed delight at the progress of work done so far at the Cape Coast Stadium. This is the new 15,000 capacity Cape Coast Sports Stadium. It is a multi-purpose stadium in the central regional capital Cape Coast. It is expected to be mostly used for football matches. The stadium was designed by the China IPPR International Engineering Corporation, led by architect Zhou Jun. It features a 300-car parking capacity, 2 basketball fields, a handball court, and a tennis court, an indoor facility that can be used for almost all indoor games. The stadium complex has a 22-room hostel facility, a canteen, kitchen, firefighting room, storage rooms, among others. Inspecting the facility, which is almost nearing completion, a delegation from the Ministry of Youth and Sports, led by the sector minister Nilanti van der Poy, an entourage from the National Sports Authority, and a delegation from the Regional Coordinating Council, led by the Central Regional Minister Kweku Rickett-Hagen, have toured the facility. The Central Regional Minister Kweku Rickett-Hagen was happy at the rate of work.
The initial impression is that it's a fantastic stadium, a state-of-the-art stadium. And we are looking forward to, finalizing things with the sports minister so that His Excellency the President can come and commission the place.
The Youth and Sports Minister, Nilanti van der Poy, proposed measures to maintain the facility.
I thought that the grass was going to be much more of the contemporary artificial grass, so that the expenditure on maintaining it will be low, because the natural grass there, sometimes the maintenance is very high. Maybe we'll be thinking of how to prepare towards removing this grass in the near future and replanting, relaying a carpet grass, or what we call synthetic grass, so to help us.
When the official handing over is done, the edifice will be the 5th stadium after the Accra, Babayara in Kumasi, the second-year Sipon Stadium, and the Tamale Sports Stadium. The 15,000 capacity stadium is being funded with a 30 million Chinese government grant. The Black Princesses have been handed a tough draw at the FIFA Women's World Cup. Ghana is in Group C alongside France, USA, and New Zealand. Here are the parents. For Group A, Papua New Guinea, Brazil, Sweden, and Korea DPR. Group B has Spain, Canada, Japan, and Nigeria. Group C, France, USA, Ghana, and New Zealand. Group D, Germany, Venezuela, Mexico, and Korea Republic. The Minister for Youth and Sports, Nilanti van der Poy, again has interacted with some former national athletes. The meeting was to share ideas on the best way to reposition sports in the country. The meeting between the Ghana Past Athletes Association, GPAA, a welfare body of retired athletes in the country, and the Minister for Youth and Sports took place on Thursday in Accra. The group's role is to help with the needed knowledge to raise standards of athletics in the country and foster unity among past athletes. Some members present included the president of the association, Mr. Andrew Agbokiche, Mr. Sakakwe, Mrs. Mercy Tegukwaku, and other members. For the sports minister, also a former national athlete, the meeting brought back some nostalgic moments. Interestingly, most of the past athletes were all members of the security services. Issues discussed centered on the welfare of retired athletes, how to tap into their knowledge in order to impact on the current generation, and how to change the perception of past athletes from dejection.
As a country, we have not honored people who sacrifice their time, their energies, their joy, for the joy of the thousands of us who sat behind the screens and sat at the stadia to clap and to cheer. But those of us who are privileged today, it is incumbent upon us to see how we can sit down as a family, together with policymakers, to think of how we can put in place a mechanism by which the rest of us who are not as privileged as we are will also at least be catered for.
The president of the Ghana Past Athletes Association, Mr. Andrew Agbokiche, touched on some of the limitations preventing them from lending a helping hand.
The issue about resources, in terms of financial resources, is a big thing. In terms of helping GA has got its own problems. Obviously, the government, money from the government is very limited. For example, this year being an Olympic year, is very heavy. And we have actually decided that we'll go out there ourselves, source for some money, use it to help them run what we call the circuits and then the national opens. So in a small way, we are trying, but then one of the biggest problems we have is physical facilities.
The first vice president of the Ghana Olympic Committee, Dr. Deborah Kubaji, urged the past athletes to develop innovative ideas to help groom athletes capable of winning laurels. The meeting came on the heels of a similar gathering with the Retired Footballers Association of Ghana.
You get everybody? Yes, sir.
Quarter-final draw of the ongoing UEFA Champions League has been held. Here are the pairings. Wolfsburg will take on Real Madrid. Bayern Munich then tackles Benfica. Barcelona will take on Atletico Madrid, and Paris Saint-Germain will welcome Manchester City.
That's all for sports.
You're welcome to this segment of the news. At the just ended 50th Berlin Fair in Germany, Ghana's Tourism, Culture and Creative Arts Minister Elizabeth Ofosu-Adjare seized the opportunity to talk about some interesting tourist sites in Ghana.
The International Tourism Bourse ITB in Berlin is the world's leading travel trade show, which takes place in Berlin every year. Ghana had the chance to showcase to the world some of the country's tourism potentials. The Minister for Tourism, Culture and Creative Arts, Mrs. Elizabeth Ofosu-Adjare, said the Ghana Tourism Authority is using the platform to market Ghana's tourist sites to the world and also attract foreign investors to the tourism industry.
Come and see Carnival in Ghana, the Ghanaian and the African way. It will give you another dimension of how carnivals are celebrated. We continue to be the most friendliest country in the world, where somebody told me that he's even scared of the way Ghanaians are friendly. And I said, you know what? Not only are we friendly, but even our animals are friendly. It is only in Ghana that you can sit on crocodiles and then they will not harm you.
The minister threw more light on Ghana's visa on arrival for citizens of the 54 African countries for 30 days, starting from the 1st of July, as announced by President John Mahama during the Independence Day celebration. At the Ghana Day reception in Berlin, Ghanaian cuisines were served amidst traditional dance and music. Mrs. Ofosu-Adjare also held discussions with Secretary General of the United Nations World Tourism Organization and her counterparts from Kenya, Gambia and Sierra Leone.
Professor Lade Bosono is a prominent figure on the Ghanaian literary and academic landscape. He is an essayist and newspaper columnist on health. He has published a number of poetry volumes while still at his publishing best in many scientific journals. Professor Lade Bosono was on Showbiz segment to discuss his upcoming recital Beneath the Poetry Baobab.
The master brewer. There is a distillery in our brains. It's cane and malt. Its hops and grains are the stuff our lives are made of. Blizzard or snow, bushfire or drought, matches won by penalty shootout, fortunes lost at the toss of a coin. Over these and the like you are no doyen. The fuel for this distillery is your emotions. Willy-nilly, you stoke the fire as you vent your spleen, and another drum drips into the vat unseen. One day I saw the sunset and I broke out. I said, Grandma, what is happening to the sun? And he said, in Ebe, go. That means the sun has broken a pot of oil.
Okay.
And then when I was in Presec as a student, I very much wanted to do literature. But you have to choose between art, maths, and literature. Literature lost a particular war. Then I went to St. Augustine's, and those of us who were from the Presby Church were regarded as, if you like, radioactive material. Said that at prayer time, we were banished from the temple. So I spent the mornings among trees talking to birds. That's how I got more interested in color and the beauty of nature.
UNESCO World Poetry Day is on the 21st of March, this 2016, but we are having a show that's going to enact your poetry. It's going to bring it live on stage, and that's happening on the 18th of March, the Friday. Tell us about it.
You must come. You've got to come. What is happening is that the World Day of this, World Day of that, whether it's a women's fashion, whether it's of hunger, whether of this or that, it's just designed to focus people's minds on the particular theme.
Okay.
Well, and that's it for the news for now. But before we go, a look once again at the headlines. A new police post has been inaugurated at the State House in Accra to protect members of parliament and properties within and around the area. The Speaker of Parliament and acting President of Ghana, Edward Do Ajao, said the development is part of measures being put in place to ensure that Ghanaians are safe.
The Cabinet Secretary for Culture, Europe and the External Affairs of Scotland, Fiona Hislop, has indicated that Scotland is prepared to partner Ghana in harnessing its oil and gas for their mutual benefit. This was when President John Mahama addressed a select committee of the Scottish Parliament in Edinburgh. President Mahama is in Scotland for an honorary Doctor of Law degree and for some other official activities.
And militants from Al-Qaeda and Boko Haram have killed 4 security personnel in 2 separate attacks in Niger. 3 policemen were shot dead by suspected militants in a village near the border with Burkina Faso. Niger is expected to hold a runoff election on Sunday.
Well, that's all the news hour. We'll be back at 10:30 with news tonight. My name is Ofri Wadako.
I'm Sio Kwaku. Many thanks for your company. Good evening.